Hello again and welcome back to Some Climbing News. Currently doing some traveling, dealing with some family stuff. It's why I missed last Friday's video, which I apologize for, but hey, that's just basically means you're getting a little more stuff for today's video, which will be the only one this week. I'll be back to the regular Tuesday, Friday schedule. Next week, we'll be publishing a how to transition to the outdoors for boulders video too. So I guess it kind of evens out a little bit. Probably not. But anyways, we have got yet another send of Grand Illusion V16/8C plus Noah Wheeler making V15 look easy at Amandra with an old 9A plus send. REI's win in their latest vote for new seats on their board of directors and more. So as always, please sit back, relax. Hope you're not bothered by the fact that I'm literally recording this on my phone and that there's a lot of echo in here. Really nothing I could do about it. I apologize. But if you appreciate the dedication, don't forget to give a like, comment with your opinions, as these videos are meant to provide you guys with a space to have important conversations. And yeah, let's get into it. And starting us off with some news out of Italy, as Marci Bombardi sent a 9A and two 9A plus routes within the span of like a few weeks. It's insanely impressive stuff. Climbs are all in Val Tanaro, and they're the hardest routes in the crags. You know, it's kind of wild to just do a crag in a month. I mean, I know doing the 3 hardest climbs isn't necessarily the same as doing everything, but like, guy's basically there. Anyways, first route he did was Prima Classe 9A, which he sent back in April, followed by BBC Muore, a 9A plus, for which Marcello actually suggested a downgrade to hard 9A, and then Train Spotting, his third ever 9A plus. Congrats to Marcello, as always. He's pretty big in the comp scene, by the way, if his name sounds familiar to you, but you're not sure why. He won a lead World Cup back in 2017, but yeah, links in the description to all of his stuff. As always, sure to check it out. And moving on to the USA, as Brian Squire gets yet another repeat of Grand Illusion 8C plus / V16. Grand Illusion is, of course, that super famous long-ass boulder FA'd by Nathaniel Coleman, a boulder so long that Sean Bailey suggested the route grade of 9A plus / B, which is 515A / B. Kind of puts things into perspective, how much harder super duper hard sport climbing is compared to bouldering, right? We have 9B plus and 9C routes, and yet Grand Illusion, which is supposedly the second hardest grade for a boulder, only gets the third or maybe even the fourth hardest grade possible for a route. I guess that's not really surprising, but it's still kind of interesting. Like, there's a physical limit to how bad holds can be before we can no longer hold them. So the only way to really get to the next level of difficulty once we hit that threshold is to just put a lot of those holds in sequence with little to no rest. And it makes me wonder, like, is it really a coincidence that most of the hardest boulders in the world are just really long? Is 9A plus / V18 and above just gonna basically be routes that are close-ish to the ground? Or are we ever gonna see like a ridiculously hard V20 4-move power boulder? At the very least, it's just evidence that the difficulty threshold for what's possible is a lot higher for sport climbing than it will probably ever be for bouldering. But I'd love to see you guys weigh in on that in the comments. Tangent notwithstanding, can't forget this was all started because Brian Squire sent his mega proj. Basically, the dude devoted some 80 plus days to this thing, and he apparently spent the last 9 sessions falling on the last move. That must have been incredibly frustrating, but also amazingly gratifying when he finally sent. Congratulations, of course, to Brian on his ascent. Excited to see what's next for him. That level of dedication is astonishing, to say the least. And now let's head over to Yosemite. Let's talk about how cool it probably is to add an FA to that legendary valley. David Fitzgeral just got the FA of the last line of descent, the low start of one of the valley's test piece boulders, the Shield, for which he proposed the grade of 8C plus / V16. Now, if you don't know about the Shield, it's one of the valley's most prominent boulders, a V11 line that has an incredibly obvious low start that no one had ever been able to do. It's also pretty tall, super technical climbing, the kind of stuff you'd expect to see on the granite you find in Yosemite. Now, apparently David's been trying this thing for a while, particularly the crux, which he says is deceptively technical and revolves around a really awful looking pinch. He finally got past the crux back in March, but ultimately slipped off the top because the holds up there were wet from rain. Reportedly 6 more sessions before the boulder finally gave in and he found himself on top of one of Yosemite's most legendary and highly anticipated projects. Honestly, it's incredible stuff from David. Again, I cannot imagine how awesome it must feel to add your name to a place with so much climbing history. I think a lot of us are climbing history nerds in a way, so seeing this stuff is not only awesome, but I'm low-key a little bit jealous. Anyways, links to the send are in the comments below. I highly encourage you to take a look at it. I was making some serious like ugh faces the whole time I was watching. Like, that thing looks gnarly. Massively recommend it. Check it out. And then let's talk about Noah Wheeler, who's back in the news yet again for his send of Railway V15/8C. And I mean, it's not particularly surprising this dude sent another 8C. You can check it out on the YouTube channel he's got with his brother, Wheel Rock. It features one of the worst bits of camera work I think I've ever seen, which, I mean, it's kind of hilariously become these guys' brand. Like, there's something beautiful and endearing about it. Like, total old school YouTube, just two dudes with a camera making fun videos of their stuff, and one of them decides to zoom into one of the holds while the other one is climbing for like no reason. And his hands are pretty shaky, so you just end up barely even seeing the hold as it's being latched. The idea was great. The execution, not good. But honestly, yeah, when you're as charismatic, cool, and chill as these dudes, that stuff doesn't really matter. The video's awesome. Definitely go check it out. It also features Hamish MacArthur, fresh off his V17 Rampage, who almost flashes Railway. Like, he could have. It was very nearly the first ever 8C flash in the world. Dude didn't even fall. He just dabbed. So my money is currently on Hamish for getting the first ever 8C flash, unless like Sean Rabatou has done it already and just hasn't told anyone. Though, honestly, I don't know. Is Sean Rabatou any good at flashing stuff? I don't think he has an 8B plus flash yet, right? He flashed Spectre and wasn't the first one to do that either. Spectre's got to be soft, or it's certified soft. But anyways, would love to pass the question on to you guys, man. Who do you think will be the first ever to flash a proper established V15? My money's on Hamish, or maybe Adam Andra if he keeps bouldering and decides that's something he wants. He's totally on brand for him to do that. And then Hyunbin Min. Man, this dude's a legend. Okay, so if you don't know who he is, that's probably because you're at least somewhat new to climbing, but this guy won a World Cup back in 2012, has won the Asian Championship 4 times. He's climbed 9B Sport, which is 515B, and now he's gotten the fastest ascent of an 8C plus, aka a V16 boulder. Yeah, that's right, fastest hands in the West, except he's from South Korea, so not the West. Although I guess technically if you were in California and you just kept going west, you'd eventually hit Asia, so I suppose it's all relative, and he does kind of have the fastest. I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, dude sent United 8C plus in a session, 4th ascent too. Now, just in case you don't remember, here's a video to the FA of United. It was done back in 2019 by Ryuichi Murai. It's one of those few boulders that even though it's done by a pro, it still just looks stupid hard. I think you know what I mean, right? Like, I'm fully convinced I could probably go flash Shaolin right now. The reality is probably very, 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 very different, and I'd be psyched to just establish on any of the holds. But yeah, United's one of those where I'm like, I'd never. That's not ever gonna happen. Anyways, United is one of Japan's hardest boulders. It's the sit start to the legendary climb, Decided, AP plus/V14, which just, by the way, was flashed by Tomura Narasaki on the one day he decided to go outdoors for whatever reason. Anyways, huge congrats to Hyunbin Min on one of the more impressive ascents in climbing history, and of course, passing on the question to you guys out of curiosity. What is the hardest looking boulder in your opinion? Like, regardless of grade, anything out there that you're convinced is basically impossible just from video? Let me know. And then let's talk about Conor Herson, who just sent Stranger Than Fiction, a 514 trad route, like way out in the desert somewhere. I don't know. I don't climb trad because I barely trust my ability to close the Velcro straps on my solutions, let alone if I'm putting in cams and nuts correctly or whatever the hell these people get up to. It's insanity to me. It's stupid. What I can do, though, is read. And read about this I have. And let me tell you, someone who knows nothing about this stuff, what this guy did is impressive as hell. So the people who do know about it have told me through words. And now here I am doing the same, but talking. Are we devolving as a society? What is happening? Okay, no, look. This guy, who, by the way, is not even like a full-time professional climber, sent this thing in 2 days. It took Pete Whitaker, we all know Pete Whitaker, he's probably one of the best when it comes to crack and all this trad business stuff, 6 days to start giving this route red point goes. Not even to do it, to start trying to link it together. That's ridiculous. And I'm not even scratching the surface of Conor's achievements, man. He's done Cobra Crack, Crack of Destiny, Magic Line, Meltdown. He's the first person to on-site 514 on gear, which is, you know, inversely proportional to how unimpressive doing anything on gear would be in the bodybuilding community. And it's like, is this dude on gear, like steroids gear? It sounds like he is. He's climbing harder than better than anyone else seemingly has any right to do. Guy's gonna send 515 trad soon. Mark my words. Mark them. No, I don't believe he's on steroids that's stupid. But honestly, congratulations to Conor. Links are in the description down below. It's a great video. Go check it out. And then, speaking of awesome stuff, Shauna Coxsey is a badass. She didn't send a new AP Plus or anything this week, but she did something arguably more difficult. She got through my cynicism straight into the void where my heart should be with a disgustingly wholesome video about what it's like for her to climb as the mother of one of the most adorable toddlers in climbing. You know, did I have Shauna Coxsey super wholesome family fun time in my 2025 climbing bingo? No. Am I angry about it? Yes. I don't like feeling my feelings, except being pissed. We're all about toxic masculinity over here at Some Climbing News, and I do not know what to do with myself when I see stupid, cute shit like this. Stop it. Just stop it, because it's adorable, and I don't know how much I like it. But also, fair play to Shauna. Toddlers can be hellish creatures. They thrive in chaos and hate peace and quiet. I mean, it's a promotional video. They're not going to show what happens when the kid inevitably has a tantrum, but still got to give it to Shauna and Ned. Seems like they're doing a pretty great job raising a child. She's going to be a freaking crusher. She decides climbing is for her and not something else like, oh, math. Why did I say math? Math? Like, I could say like architecture or something? No, math. Anyways, crag dogs, toddlers, all those things, you know what I mean, can be awful, but only if they're not well trained. I guess well trained in the case of a dog, well educated, well raised, whatever, in the case of a child. So I'd actually love to know if you guys have any stories of horrible and or great experiences with either, because why not? Let me know in the comments. And then, just because I don't want this to turn into a 4-hour long thing, let's go with some quickfire YouTubes. Lots of fun videos to check out. We're gonna do a lightning round sort of thing in case you've missed them, so here goes. 1. Mello put out a video made by Keenan Takahashi, first ascent of Pass On Through in Yosemite. It's good vibes, definitely check it out. Wedge also put out a new Wild FA by Jim Pope, highly recommend that too. 3. Adam Andres found some old footy of a 9A plus he did back in 2023 up on his channel if you want to hear some screams, typical, and Andra try-hard noises and all that good stuff. 4. In the indoor scene, Eric Carlson and Miguel Climbs. They got some new stuff out, all of it in the description down below. And then finally, Paradigm Climbing put out a video about how to keep tension on the wall that you should definitely watch. It's good coaching. It'll absolutely help your climbing to learn how to properly toe down on overhanging stuff. So link is down in the link is down on the description below, and let's move on. So I want to preface the story by saying that I'm not entirely sure how to cover this. It's my first time doing so, and I want to be able to be as respectful to all involved as I possibly can be. Yesterday, 3 climbers were reported dead from an accident in Washington's North Cascade Mountains, with a 4th climber who managed to survive a 100-foot fall. 4th climber somehow managed to hike all the way to his car in the dark and drove all the way to a payphone where he was able to call for help. The surviving climber is still in a hospital in Seattle, so we're not completely sure what happened, but it seems that the 4 climbers fell when an old piton they were using as an anchor ripped out of the wall while they were rappelling. The climbers reportedly fell about 200 feet before landing on a slanted gulch and then falling another 200 feet before coming to a stop. As far as why they were there in the first place, it seems authorities believe that the climbers had to turn back because of an incoming storm, and so the decision to use the piton in this case might have been one of those fast equals safe sort of situations. But I don't want to speculate any further. I personally have an extremely limited knowledge of mountaineering, alpine climbing, and trad climbing. I'm pretty much just a boulderer, so I have no clue what might have led them to be in the situation that they were, let alone have enough knowledge to even begin to say whether what they did was or wasn't wrong. As far as the names of the climbers, I honestly don't know what is and isn't appropriate, whether I should mention their names or not. So for now, I'm gonna keep them out of the conversation. Really, the most I can say or do is to offer condolences to the friends and family of the climbers involved in this tragedy. And yeah, I'm sure someone in the comments who knows more about these climbing disciplines can offer much better answers than what I am currently capable or even comfortable with doing. And honestly, please let me know what I can do to better cover situations like these in the future. I've also found a GoFundMe for one of the climbers' families. If you'd like to donate and help them out, link is in the description below. But onto a slightly lighter note, let's talk about what just happened with REI. Now, if you don't know, REI is a giant retail store in the United States that sells all kinds of outdoor gear and is structured as a consumer cooperative, meaning the company has a membership system in place that allows members to vote in annual board of directors elections. Now, the way these elections work is as follows. Any REI member can be nominated, but only candidates who are approved by the current board can appear on the ballot. Last fall, unionized workers of REI backed two candidates, Tefere Gebre, who I'm definitely pronouncing incorrectly, and Shimona Moreno, both of whom, despite being backed by signatures from thousands of members, did not appear on the ballot, meaning for whatever reason, the current board of directors just decided to exclude them. This was yet another step in a direction that many felt demonstrated the fact that REI has been distancing itself from its core values in favor of profit and growth. We see this reflected in the fact that 11 stores across the country voted to unionize in 2022, and yet unionized workers have accused the company of union busting, retaliation, and bad faith bargaining. The company also previously endorsed Trump Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum, a man who has been heavily criticized for his support of drilling on public lands, which, you know, for an outdoor company, is not the greatest look. So the REI union criticized the decision to leave out their preferred candidates from the ballot, calling it undemocratic, and in protest called for members of REI to vote against the three candidates the board proposed. And now, this actually worked. Basically, an unknown number of members voted withhold for all proposed candidates on the ballot. So, why is this such a big deal and such a big win for both union efforts and keeping REI's core values? Well, put simply, while the board of directors now gets to fill the vacant seats with whatever candidates they choose, they are temporary, meaning next March the board seats will need to be replaced. On top of that, as per how the co-op works, REI would also have to put up additional openings for any other incumbent and new candidates, meaning they could be facing having to fill up to 6 open seats next year. Now, seeing as how the board currently only has 7 people in it, having a rotation of 6 seats per year would not be a sustainable way to govern, something that would be the case if members were to continue voting to withhold all future board candidates. Basically, the company could pretty much end up stuck in like a board seat rotation limbo. Now, this is seen as a pretty big win for the REI union and for any REI members who were lamenting the fact that the company had been slowly moving away from its core values. What is going to end up happening kind of remains to be seen, but I would love to know your thoughts about all of this. I'd been hearing rumblings around about the fact that people weren't particularly happy with REI, that some people were even boycotting the company, so I'd love to know what you think. Do you still shop there? Will you continue to do so? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, just a quick little update on what's been going on over at Oak Flat, Arizona. Now, if you don't know, there is currently a copper mining company looking to have about 6 miles of land transferred to them from the U.S. Forest Service. Now, I went into a little bit more detail on the situation in the following video. Here's a link if you'd like to know more about what is happening. But just to summarize rather quickly, having this land transfer happen would mean the loss of one of Arizona's biggest and most important climbing destinations, but also, more importantly, an area of land that is sacred to the Apache people. Now, Apache Stronghold, an advocacy group that has been fighting this decision, was able to have a district judge temporarily halt the Oak Flat transfer, an injunction that will protect the area until the Supreme Court reviews the case. It's a small step, as the area is still very much directly under serious threat. However, a small step in the right direction is always a welcome one. So, not much else that I can say for the moment. I'm going to be reaching out to Access Fund as well as Apache Stronghold for more information, thinking about doing another deep dive into the situation, as it's one of the more important things going on at the moment, and it's a situation that's been going on for over 20 years at this point. But for now, links to both Access Fund and Apache Stronghold are in the comments below if you'd like more information on how you could help raise our voices against the land transfer. And I will, of course, keep everybody updated on what happens with this ongoing situation. But that was some climbing news. Thanks again for watching. Apologies for being MIA this week. As I said, I will be returning to my regular upload schedule on Tuesday. Gonna start putting out some community updates with posts and the like on here. I think you guys should be able to see those. But again, just a quick reminder not to forget to like, subscribe if you're enjoying these updates. I will see you next week. And in the meantime, and as always, go climb some stuff.